literally sat there the day before and hand wrapped every single coin in every single category. And she helped me. And we ended up I ended up counting $40.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally cost me $40 to the T to get to and from Mississippi from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So when she saw that, she was like, well, how long it took you to save the coins? And I told her, I said, well, at the time, at every paycheck, I was pulling about $20 for myself to last me for the 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of not touching my account, but just pulling cash and keeping the cash, and whatever comes off of the cash, I recycle the coins. Well, she saw the value in that. And now she does it.
There you go.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. We keep all of our change, when we spend the cash, we bring the change home and we put it into a little tin can, and probably every 6 months we've got a good $40, $50 in coins. And
right.
A lot of people would just, leave that somewhere or misplace it or whatever the case is. And that's when you look at it like, if it was a $50 bill, would you just set it down in the parking lot? Of course not.
Right.
So it's again, it comes down to, the behavior change and the responsibility that is endowed to you that you have to take seriously. I want to look at something earlier that you mentioned about not having the income to maintain a stable budget. Can you clarify?
Okay, so
what you mean?
Let's say a single parent has 2 jobs, and one's a full-time job, but it's only giving her 30 hours a week, and she's making $10.75 an hour. Okay, and her second job is cleaning houses, and she's got like 4 or 5 houses to clean, and she's making about $120 per house. All right. But she just went through a divorce. Her job at the time wasn't technically needed. She just wanted to work. So she went through a divorce, and she has no other income but the income she basically brought to the table, because she's not having the financial status or the financial support coming from the husband, because they split up. So she had to get a small apartment with her and her kids. Let's say the apartment cost $750 a month, 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bath. And like, let's say her light bill was, I don't know, $200, so forth and so on. She has to adjust her lifestyle. She has to adjust her living. But what if she does all of that, adjusts her living, cuts back on a lot of things, but still doesn't make the money to basically make ends meet? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay. So, I just wanted to clarify, because it's really important to understand what a budget is. And I didn't know if that was the direction of the question. So just to clarify that, a budget is you telling your money what to do. It's not, people have so many misconceptions about a budget and what it is, and they think that it's just some restriction plan to, take away their money. It's a game plan for you to tell your money what to do, and then it keeps you accountable. So you're deciding everything that's on this budget. Like you said, with a single parent, they are going to have to really look at their lifestyle and take it down, most likely, because they just don't have the income to keep up with the current lifestyle that they have. Now, it's, unfortunately not in every case can a single parent receive child support, if there are kids, obviously, but that should be something, this is a moral issue as far as I'm concerned, but that should be something that is absolutely mandatory, maybe even alimony, because if you have a stay-at-home parent who is now divorced and is going to live and keep the kids and then has to go and get a job after 10 years of marriage, well, now you have an adult who hasn't spent any time building any type of career or providing anything to the marketplace, and then trying to go out and find a job to support the family. So there's that side of this coin also. That's something we have to consider. And hopefully in most cases there would be child support as well as maybe alimony. But again, it comes down to, it's that much more important for a single parent to be extremely diligent and focused so that they can make the most of their time and provide a good income for their family. And I keep going back to this. You have to understand what your value is. Don't sell yourself short and go and wait tables for the next 10 years. I'm okay with you doing that, as a side job to make some extra money and get the ball rolling a little bit. But you really need to develop yourself, get some kind of skills, training, whatever it is, and provide something of much more value to the marketplace. Because, like I said, in this country, we can make money doing just about anything. And, people will pay a significant amount of money for a lot of different skills that they themselves don't have.
Right. Okay. Sweet. Thank you for that. Now, when is a safe time, or when is it safe to start investing?
So in the process that we teach, you want to start investing after your fully funded emergency fund is fully funded. So that's the 3 to 8 months worth of household expenses. And that comes after you've paid off all of your debt except for your mortgage. The reason we wait until then is because we want to use every portion of income after our expenses are covered to attack these steps and knock out these goals, or else, like I've said, we're not going to get in either direction very quickly at all. Whereas if we pay off the debt with extreme intensity, with every extra dollar that's coming into the house, and then once the debt is gone, now we start saving our fully funded emergency fund. Now that we have that fully funded emergency fund, we've got a really good buffer zone between us and life. We can reach our medical deductions on our insurance if we have some kind of medical emergency. We can reach our deduction on, our vehicles if we get in an accident or whatever it is. We can cover an issue that happens at the house if the heat and air system goes out. Well, we have the money saved in an emergency fund specifically for emergencies that we can now cover those things with. And so now it's safe to start using that extra money that's coming in to go towards investing. And the point to putting it off until the fourth step and after you finish these other steps is you're going to be a lot more diligent with your investing and a lot more purpose-driven with your investing if you leave it in this point of the process. Because if you're just trying to invest a few dollars here and there, you're really not doing anything beneficial as far as investing is concerned anyway. So you might as well just put those, extra $25 or whatever you're investing per month towards some of your debts, and then free up more of your income so that later you can invest a lot more. And again, we're getting to this point, we're paying off our debt in, let's say, 1 to 3 years. In most cases, it's right around 2 years. And then we're saving up that fully funded emergency fund in about another year. So we're looking at a total of 4 years that you're not investing. But then once you start investing, you're really investing as much as you possibly can. Whereas if you're trying to do it before that, you're just not really making any headway at all. So you're not losing a lot of time in this point in the process.
Okay. So how long will it take for someone to build a fully funded emergency account? And also to add to that question, how much should be in that fully funded emergency account? I know you said 6 to 8 months, but what does 6 to 8 months look like with a dollar sign in front of it?
Okay. Yeah. So 3 to 8 months. Let's just say that your household expenses are $4,000. Okay. $4,000 a month on average is what you spend. That's covering all of your housing, your vehicles, your food, your clothing, just everything that you need to live. Notice that I said need, not want. So once all of your expenses are covered, $4,000 worth, you're going to multiply that by anywhere from 3 to 8. This is the amount of months. It's up to you to decide, do I want to save 3 months worth of expenses or do I want to save 8 months worth of expenses? So if your expenses are $4,000 and you want to save, let's say 5,000 or 5 months, you're going to multiply 4,000 by 5, and that's $20,000. So you want to have $20,000 in your emergency fund, and that is the total of 5 months worth of your living expenses. So now here's another thing. Let's say that you lose your job and there's no income for 3 months. Well, you have covered your living expenses for those 3 months with your emergency fund. And then once you get another job, now you can start to rebuild your emergency fund and then get back on track with the step that you're currently in.
Okay, so I get it, but I want to make sure it's crystal clear for the listeners.
Absolutely.
So let's say I bring home $2,500 per paper. Okay, I bring home $5,000 a month. Okay. How am I supposed to save up to $4,000 times 8 or times 3 or times 5 or whatever in that process?
So if you're, again, the more diligent we are with our budget and the lower we keep our expenses, we're living within our means. If you're making $5,000 a month and you're spending $4,000 a month, then you're saving $1,000 per month. So if it's going to be, 5 months, $20,000, that's going to take you 20 months. It's going to take you a year to almost 2 years to do that. So this point in the process, like I said, you're going to be in this between step 2 and step 3. Step 2 is going to be 1 to 3 years. Step 3, the fully funded emergency fund, is going to be another 1 to 2 years. So you're going to be at this before you're investing for, let's just say, 4 years on average.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's clarified. Thank you. So now I know you are not a fan of debt. Okay. But how much debt is too much debt? And I know the answer to this, but again, I want the listeners to know how much debt is too much debt.
Well, I'm very consistent and very precise, and any debt is too much debt. There's no amount of debt that we need in this country or that we should have. This is a major lie that runs so deep into our culture since, I don't know, maybe the 1940s, 1950s. Your great-great-grandparents, they viewed debt almost as a sin. Like it was something that, oh yeah, so-and-so neighbor has debt. Ugh, that's terrible. Whereas now it's just commonplace. Like everyone has debt for every single thing. We borrow money to get things that we can't afford. The only reason that we're using debt is because we can't purchase with our own money what we want. And everything that we call ours is not actually ours. It belongs to the bank, right? When we create this cycle of using other people's money as if it's some kind of wealth building tool, we get ourselves into significant traps they're extremely dangerous. And the scriptures are super duper clear on not borrowing for any particular circumstance and the type of issue that it can get you in, as well as how to get out of debt if you basically are forced to borrow by no other possible route. There's almost no circumstance that you need to borrow money. And so, you get the question like, oh, well, how are we going to get a house? And we can get into that maybe on some other episodes, but I'm a huge fan of the 100% down plan. And every time I say that, I get some ridiculous looks like I'm crazy, but it's really not as hard as a lot of people think. And when we do the numbers, we can see that. But it comes down to, is your behavior going to be consistent enough and diligent enough to get you there?
Oh, yeah. Perfect. You see, Americans are not disciplined enough like they should be when it comes to financial stability. And I mean, look, I'm guilty of it myself. I took out a loan to go to school. That didn't pay off too well,
Yeah,
so, I mean, yeah,
we're not
you're right. This is something that we need to talk about more, and we need to like pull ourselves out of. That's why I was so adamant about you explaining how in the world is one going to save 5 to 8 months of expenses into an emergency account. And look, I'm actually working on this same process right now with my own finances because I think it's important, and I want to have that buffer just in case something happens.
Right.
Like I said, right now I'm just saving $25 here, $25 there. I'm actually not. I'm saving more than that, but I'm saving small amounts right now until I can get myself to where I can save the extra $1,500 a month, which I'm very close to doing now, versus just saving $1,000 a month. All right.
Sure.
So moving on to the next question. What is good debt? I know that's a redundant question, but what is good debt?
So this is another lie that's been told to us, that there's such a thing as good debt. There's not.
Right.
The Bible's clear. The borrower is the slave to the lender. So we need to ask ourselves, and there's, one of the pushbacks is, the usage of the word slave there in that verse is not completely accurate. It should be more like servant. And that's fine. We can use the word servant. So the borrower is servant to the lender. in a lot of cases, being a servant in biblical talk is a good thing.